What a great week this was, because we're going to go from Crazy Town to this, which I've known for a long time. And I'm just going to say it now. Love it. Big contender. This is M&S presents The Girl Next Door, Salsoul Nugget, If You Wanna.
I've only learnt today why it was called Salsoul Nugget. And I always made assumptions because of the funky vibes in it. And I knew that there were samples in it. But actually, there was the sample of Double Exposure's Everyman and Lila Holloway, Hit and Run, both of who were on the Salsoul record label. So that's why it's called Salsoul Nugget, because it's kind of like a Salsoul golden gem. Yeah. And then in brackets, If You Wanna. But M&S presents The Girl Next Door. You'll have. Please tell me you remember this from being in my radio studio.
Yes, massively.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's fine.
100%. Yeah.
You were switched on some days. Woo!
Yay!
He was there.
Everyman by Double Exposure is one of my favourite songs, and when I did my radio show with Nathan for a year and a half, we ended the show with that track, and that was our sort of end bed, and I still listen to it all the time now. It's funny, I listened back to it this week as part of checking out the samples, as I always do, and I mean, I knew this was a sample of that, so I just wanted to go listen to it. Really, there's been remixes by Late Night Tough Guy, Joey Negro, and of course this. And listening back to Everyman now, it seems so slow.
Yeah.
Because I've heard those 3 tracks now more than the original. It just sounds so slow. This is a very pacey track. It's got a real live feeling to it. I spoke about the bongo song a few weeks ago, and that track to me feels like it's very live and in the moment. And this is the same to me. I can picture a nightclub in my head, which is what I'm picturing all the time right now because I can't go to one. Yeah, I always see a packed club, loving it in my mind's eye, and I'm in there somewhere.
Loads of people, and this is where I'm actually shocking myself now, because I've always loved this track. Loads of people actually in blogs and stuff have compared this to Groove Jet, because obviously Groove Jet's like a sample of a similar ilk to Double Exposures. I love this way more, and I never thought I'd say that because I love Spiller and Groove Jet, but for me this is a much better track than Spiller, even though Spiller and Groove Jet is a 10 out of 10, you know what I mean?
I hadn't thought about it, but I think I probably agree. No, I definitely agree. Yeah, I do.
Yeah. The first 10 seconds of this, right, you've got some phasing and you've got some EQ play, which for 2001 was great. First 10 seconds, it's just like, oh, hold on a second, what's that? And it chops and it changes a little bit about, and the way that they bring stuff in is great. You know, it's just so good. This reminds me of I remember being at a house party actually when this was on. Somebody was playing Hide the Vodka, which is code for Scott didn't bring any of his own drink, so started stealing everybody else's because he was a cheapskate. Obviously, all my money was going on driving lessons, so I was like, I'll come to the party, not bringing anything. Where's the Doritos? So there was that element of it where I remember it from a specific house party. The one I think I've mentioned before, where in the garden I stood up on a picnic table while everybody was outside and projectile puked from the top of the picnic table.
That rings a bell, yeah. It does ring a bell.
Yeah. It changes when you least expect it. It's pumping. It's fun. It's DISCO. It's feel good. And we've got a flashing dance floor in the music video, which for me is sold. Give me a gavel or whatever you call it. Bang, 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 bang. Sold.
Can you believe then, I was reading in one blog that they took this to record labels, as is always the case, you know, it's kind of underground for a bit first, and they go and try and get it released officially, and labels were knocking this back. They made a white label and they submitted it to their DJ friends. I mean, if you're going to have DJ friends, you do kind of want them to be, let's say, Frankie Knuckles, David Morales, and Louis Vega. Yeah, that's their showbiz friends, and that's how this track kind of catapulted up into the mainstream, because they had good connections, and this eventually crept into number 6 in the chart, which is a big deal. And number 1 on the dance chart as well.
So in 2001, right, and this is a thing that I've kind of learnt from doing research on this track, is actually you just couldn't break dance tracks. And I feel like we've covered quite a few significant ones, you know what I mean, so far. And anything that we've kind of covered, say, before 2000, like the Paul Van Dykes and the Energy 52 Cafe Del Mars that we've never covered, all of those are hangovers from white labels in Ibiza and people coming back being like, I have to have this. And it wasn't because people wanted to release them, and record labels were being like, yeah, let's put this out. It was, we need to put this out because people are buying this and we need a cut of that. But this one, I remember watching a video, which was the Dance Star Awards, which was a full award ceremony specifically made for the electronic music industry, because radio stations would not play dance music and they wouldn't take it on. So they had to create their own system. So you just had these biggest DJs in the world kind of create this festival. I remember watching this actually, which breaks my heart now because this track was introduced by Gil Porter and Eric Murillo.
Ooh.
And that like knocked some points off it for me whenever I remembered that one. But as I've kind of gone through the comments and some of like the YouTube videos and stuff too. So Natasha Bryce is like big vocalist, absolutely brilliant. Somebody had said she should have been one of the Spice Girls, no lie. I was like, is it the worst comment I've read this week? It might be. I love this track.
Yep, me too.
There's one down point, and this is a sign of the times. It has a slow fade. And if anybody doesn't know what a slow fade is where the song gets quieter at the end and it disappears off out. And that is really normal, very normal in 2000s. Less so nowadays. But what it made is it made for a really awkward live performance where you can see somebody with a microphone, the song's fading out, and they still have to decide when to stop. Yeah, and there's only so far you can pull your microphone away. You can only pull your microphone away an arm's length from your mouth. Yeah. So it is awkward. And the performances that I saw of Natasha Bryce doing it were live. Anything I ever saw her do, she did live vocals over the top of it, and it was really, really good. But it wasn't for everybody. If you get it, you get it. It's a big deal. If you don't feel good from this, you're absolutely 100% dead inside.
Agreed.
Fuck up.